Hey YouTube, the good people at Mavri sent us an RF 70-200. Let's go check it out. A little smaller than I thought it was going to be. Almost looks like something that NASA would design. Nice color, good feel. This is maybe the prettiest lens I've ever picked up, that's for sure. I think it's got enough buttons on there. So thanks again to Mavri.ca for this lens rental. If it were not for them, this would not be possible today. Pre-COVID, this would have arrived right to my doorstep, but I had to go to my local FedEx shipping, which is still closer and more convenient than driving to the local rental guys who are half an hour away, only accept rentals during a certain window period, and they're more expensive than Mavri. So if you're Canadian, you definitely want to check out Mavri.ca. Of course, we gotta try it on the camera. You can lock the zoom into a certain position. I can't actually open right now. Okay, so it only locks closed. You can't lock it like halfway. So I'm gonna set it to autofocus with the stabilizer on. I've got 3 different stabilizer modes. And then I'm guessing I've got 2 focal lengths. I've used 70-200s before on the EF mount on the 6D, but like only for weddings. So I didn't really get to play around with it too much, but this thing just feels really solid. The zoom's got quite a bit of torque range on it. It's not something you just have to put a light touch and you're zooming all the way. Super fast autofocus, that's really nice. This camera's about 2 feet away from the lens and it's able to focus on it. That's a pretty close focal range. After 1 week with the RF 70-200, I took over 1,000 photos, and I can definitely say that my first experience with an L series lens was a great one. I took some photos in bright light, at night, backlit, and some sundown portraits, and it performed as expected pretty much everywhere. So I'll start off just by saying this is not a creative test, and it's not even really a technical test. I want this to be a practical test. Should somebody like myself, who's an enthusiast shooter, consider buying something like this? Is this something that you need? Or who is this lens actually for? What is it best suited for? I brought this with me everywhere for the week just to see where it fit in. Did it work with my family shots, with my creative ideas, the whole gamut? So the most obvious answer here, which every 70-200 owner kind of knows about, is that this is just a magical portrait pumping machine. This by far produced some of the most technically beautiful photos from an ability perspective that I've ever seen out of my R6. And by lens abilities, what I mean is the smoothness and the background bokeh and the compression this creates, which causes beautiful portraits. It was truly eye-catching. When I first opened up the photos of John here, I couldn't believe it was the same person that I saw in real life. The compression has that much of an effect on the outcome of the photo. I'm sure the RF50 and the 85 do some really beautiful stuff too, but I'd be surprised if it could make this look even better. So while we're talking about the 200 range compression that it causes in trying to shoot at a distance, when I tried to take pictures of wildlife and birds, it always left me feeling underwhelmed, like I wasn't close enough and the lens just couldn't shoot far enough. I think I would have liked more of a 400 for that type of work. 200 just wasn't enough without needing to move closer to the bird and disturbing the scene and ruining the effect of the shot. You'll constantly need to walk towards the animal and then risk it just flying away and missing its action sequence. On the opposite end, when you're shooting at the 70mm range, I was quite pleasantly surprised at how well it worked in tight spaces indoors. With its roughly 2-foot minimum focus range, it can create some really beautiful portraits. By now, I must hold the world's record for dad with most mirrorless photos of his kids by far. The shots this lens produces were so beautiful, intimate, they felt cinematic. I was so blown away by what it was able to do and how it looked. And the quality sharpness of the photos left me so much room for cropping that I never once felt like I was needing an R5 high megapixel body. Lastly, we took this lens out at night. I want to see how it performed in low, very creative lighting atmospheres. And when I brought the images into post, as expected, the contrast was beautiful, the recovery was great, the color was really beautiful. I was happy on all fronts there. But I did notice something that was maybe more about the R6 and the mirrorless line than the lens, is that the eye autofocus when shooting this low light and trying to do a portrait session, the eye autofocus failed completely. I was really shocked that not once did the eye autofocus track its subject and lock on in this dark environment, also with a dark skin model. I immediately needed to switch to single point, one shot focus so I could resume the shoot knowing that my images were sharp, but it was really disappointing. This is just something to watch out for if you're a low light portrait shooter and you like these moody shots. Maybe this camera body is not for you. The size of this lens is one of the first topics of conversation because of how noticeably physically smaller it is than the entire EF lineup of 70 to 200 f2.8 lenses. This gives it several advantages. The first one I experienced doing the daylight portrait shoot with John is that it draws very, very little attention. It's still a beautiful, longer lens, but not so much that when you're walking through public, you're drawing all sorts of attention to the shoot and people kind of gawking at how long and crazy this lens is. I remember the first time I saw a 70 to 200, it's really a sight to behold and something abnormally large that you're wondering just what it does. And this does not have that effect. They really did a great job in its design, refining how long it needed to be. The second advantage is just how portable this is. As soon as I got this lens and threw it on the R6, I threw it into my sling bag to see if it fit, and it fit with room to spare, something that the other EF lenses would not be capable of, making that bag useless for any kind of travel scenario. So this is a great choice if you need a portable covert lens at the 200 range. Great job, Canon. So what's wrong with this lens? Did anything happen this week that caused me to kind of be concerned or change my mind? And there was one thing that happened, but I was able to solve it. But I want to talk about it here just in case you own this lens or you're thinking of buying it, sort of as a cautionary tale so that you don't experience this malfunction doing this certain task. As soon as I put this lens on the camera, I initially tested out a very close range shot focus and then threw it at 200, twisted it all the way, and then tried to focus at something far away, and it actually couldn't hit anything. It was failing when you go from extremes. And first I'll tell you how I fixed it. If you have an R6 or an R5, make sure these are turned on in your menu. In the AF tab, page 1, make sure continuous autofocus is enabled. And again in the AF tab, page 4, make sure that if AF is impossible, continue lens focus search. And I'll tell you what that means. If the camera settings and environment are in such a place that there can be nothing to autofocus on, it will not attempt to try and find something, meaning it won't modify the camera's zoom or its focus, it'll just stay stationary. As soon as you turn these settings on, it starts to hunt back and forth and twist the camera to find something to lock onto. So if you go from extreme to extreme at f2.8, you're creating a situation for the lens to see everything blurry and have nothing to lock onto. You'll be just trying to autofocus on a blurry scene. So as soon as you turn those on, it starts hunting, cleans up the image, and gives you something to focus on very quickly. I found it really interesting that this problem doesn't exist with the EF 24-105. And I think that's because it's an f4 lens and it can't throw the background blurry enough to give it something that's difficult to lock onto. Something about the f2.8 and that longer distance gave it an impossible challenge to deal with. The last point I want to talk about is just an ergonomics comfort thing. For a zoom lens, this has a much wider barrel than I think a lot of people might be used to. It requires a 45-degree turn to go from 70 to 200 focal range. At the size this lens is at, carrying it, stabilizing it, and focusing at this wider size, it's very uncomfortable. And it's something that really took me out of my shots while I was taking them, especially at the portrait session. I had to think about how I was going to hold the lens and keep it stable while zooming before I took the shot, and I don't want to have to think about that stuff. I want my mind to be on the creative and not the ergonomics. And this is not a problem I had with the 24-105 because the barrel is thinner, The focus ring turns smoother. It requires about 15 degrees as opposed to 45. The whole experience is just much easier. This is something you really have to think about and get used to, and I didn't have the technique down yet. It's something I'm sure I could figure out, but it's a challenge I wanted to make sure I talked about. If you're thinking about buying this lens and using it on a daily basis, it's not such a problem that I would say don't buy it, just something to think about. Maybe go rent it and try it out and see how much it bothers you. So that's all I've got to talk about on the RF 70-200. I can honestly say I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. I was really sad to give this back. It really grew on me the whole week. It never left my camera. I expected to go switch to something wider, but it never happened. I was able to do everything I needed, and I just kept exploring it more and more. I would love to have something like this. It would be like a luxury purchase. Definitely something focused and geared on portraits, but it was capable of so much more. If you make a living off of portraits or weddings and you shoot with the Canon mirrorless line, I think the quality of this lens is a must-buy. I'm kind of doubting that the EF lenses can give you this kind of experience, especially the third-party lenses. But that is yet to be seen, and I hope to test that out and share that information in weeks to come. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this and learned something, please hit like and subscribe. Visit demonenphotography.com or my Instagram for even more info. Bye for now.